Well, that was the thing you were saying earlier when we were just watching the actual announcement to
Yeah,
have the media be able to express themselves.
yeah, I was saying that earlier as I was realizing as they were, I guess we were just watching NBC and they were talking about how Trump has already lied a lot and how he's going to probably continue to lie about things and they're going to continue to call him out. And as crazy it is that we have a president that does just blatantly lie about so much, and there's a lot of people that either believe him because they want to believe him, because it's a little easier than challenging themselves to think critically, which thinking critically is challenging yourself. That's what it is. It's not just reading the things that you like. Or because they empower him to, or he empowers them to be unkind people and they like that and it feels, they want to be angry and mean. Maybe that's some of his supporters, but there's all sorts of reasons that I'm sure I don't know all the reasons why people believe his lies, but there are a lot of people that do, and then there's also a lot of people that don't. And it is amazing to live in a country where we have a president that lies and we have the ability to call him on that repeatedly and no one's getting killed for it.
Yeah.
Like there's other places in the world where there are presidents that lie and then the media calls them on it and it's way worse than what's happening here. Which what's happening here is bad. Like don't get me wrong, having a bunch of people say that all media is fake news if it goes against the president, like that's crazy.
Yeah.
But at
Well,
least we are able to continue speaking out
yeah.
and not and actually telling the truth.
Well, it speaks to our standards as a nation and as citizens.
Mm-hmm.
And people bemoan the institutions that we have in this country. And I think it's good to look at the standards that we have
Mm-hmm.
and to think to ourselves, you know, you can't just, for people that are looking for total revolution in our thought process and to take down our institutions because they've been corrupt since its inception, you can't just build up this degree of adherence to good practice overnight once you tear those things down. And maybe they do need to be tear down, but I think that's where conservatism, regardless of party, small c, not capital C,
Mm.
is something that is really good for us to keep in mind constantly to think, what are these institutions that have been built up through multiple generations? What are these standards for what our country are? And is it important for us to hold on to them? I don't
What are
always
these institutions that you're referencing?
just the institution of America
Mm.
and government and the ideals that it was
Mm.
founded on, which are stained with all sorts of really horrific human failings.
Mm-hmm.
And I also generally don't like to witness myself acting out programs,
Yeah.
but I don't mind this type of program where it's like, yeah, this program of like believing in democracy and believing that my nation's going to have a secure vote and believing that the media is the one that gets to call the elections and making sure that we don't slip below a standard of governance, that makes me feel, I don't know, proud, I guess, but also just like, yeah, okay, this is a program that like I'm okay with.
Mm.
And a lot of people, I think they don't like the idea of any programming that isn't their own programming, even as that is a type of programming that's been put into them by their surrounding culture.
Right.
So I don't know. I mean, and I think an interesting flip side to what you're saying about, the media having the space to call these things out is also, despite what a lot of people might say as far as the media being unfair to this president,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I've noticed a shift the past few days, in particular, as we've entered something that was unprecedented in the modern era, which is having to wait this many days for election results. The media feeling a little bit more looser in their ability to call out the president, which is reflective of them spending 4 years respecting the office
Right.
and not just saying that this is foolish and we refuse to, handle this. That they haven't done that much in the past 4 years, and now for them to say, look, you don't touch the vote. The vote is bigger than you. There aren't many things that are
Yeah.
bigger than you, but the people's voices are bigger than you.
And it does seem like everyone's, like, even beyond the media is saying that as well. Like the other politicians that maybe don't want it to go this way for their own self-interest, but they do respect the way that it works.
Yeah.
Just like the Democrats respected it 4 years ago, even though this was a nightmare and like really doesn't even seem like it should be allowed to have someone like this become president. We respected it because that's what it's actually not what the people chose, but whatever. It's what the Electoral College vote gave him. So we respected that that's the process. We also realized that maybe parts of that process need to change to make it better and cleaner, but everyone respected that that's the process. So yeah, they've got to respect it now too. I also think, I just want to say quickly, I think a lot of people say this, media has become such a term that people use. And I think that what we're talking about right now is official news outlets, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because media, I feel like, also just refers to anything that you're consuming. And it's sort of a shorthand for news, but I also think that people get confused and think that someone like Tucker Carlson is news media.
Mm-hmm.
And I think those are the people that are saying the media is always so mean to Trump because they think that opinion news sites are actually real news
Mm-hmm.
when they're not. And the real news is people that study, and they're journalists, and they're people that are out there talking to people and trying to be unbiased as much as possible, although a lot of news outlets do have a slight bias.
Yeah.
But then you get to the opinion thing, and like that's just not news.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
Okay. I'm like, I don't know who's listening to this that doesn't get it, but if you
Right.
are, that's what it is.